The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Hello, welcome to another edition of The Gloves Are Off. I'm Moses Woldu, and it's a special edition as well. Of course, the Lloydminster Midget Day AAA Bobcats advancing to the TELUS Cup. They got that a week from, I guess, Monday. But we are pleased to be joined by a certain member from the group. And of course, I have to introduce this man, as always, my co-host first and foremost. And I'm pleased to be joined by the Lloydminster Source sports editor, Andrew Brethauer.
I was bringing national ratings before they went to the Cup, just across the country.
Well, Ontario, that
enough.
might be a bit of a stretch, but we can see what we can do.
Quebec people love me, like they really do.
Well, there you go. Well, I know you did. All right, well, just leave it at that. Yeah. Andrew Brethauer, as always, per usual. This man, of course, not. I guess you are familiar with this area. Definitely, Paradise Hill. You've played your hockey here. You've had a good career as well, and then you came back home and. Sure enough, coached a heck of a bantam team, and sure enough, you're leading this team once again, this time all grown up in the Midget AAAs. Of course, I was kind of leading to it earlier. Travis Clayton, the head coach of the Midget AAA Bobcats. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. And, obviously it's easy to coach these boys. I've had them for 3 years now, and they're a special group. I keep saying it, but they are. So it's a easy job to coach them.
Yeah, and it's got to be a certain blessing knowing how good these guys are, how much they buy in to the system that you bring in.
Yeah, obviously from day one they've all bought in, accepted their roles, and that's why we're winning. We haven't had one guy falling off the kind of trail. They've been focused group, accepted their roles, and that's why they're champions.
It always starts from the top down. I always believe that. So when it starts with good coaching, that trickles down to great players and eventually leads down the road to future players as well as coaches. So
thank you.
Awesome to have you on, my man. And of course, Andrew, as always, this is a question I have to get into. This doesn't necessarily involve your team per se, but it does involve another Bobcat of sorts, the Junior A's, who are now officially eliminated from the AJHL playoffs. Historic run, if you think about it. Only the third time they made it to the North Final. Lost to a pretty good team in Spruce Grove. But you look at what happened, and they got the about 32-day layoff. That's a lot of time for Coach Thibodeau and the rest of the game trying to get their legs under them and get ready for what's going to be an intense month of May. With that said, did losing to Spruce Grove in any way help this team? You want to play those games, but at the same time, there's a bit of rest. Am I right or wrong for saying that?
Absolutely. They're going to get some rest. They're going to heal up. They've had probably a few little injuries here and there, and they're going to be prepared. I know Coach Gord and Coach Gary will have that team prepared big time, and that's an advantage for them.
And it tells you what you need to do to win, because Spruce is one of those teams that you expect to be at the RBC Cup this year. They never got there, but you expect them. That's the caliber of hockey you're going to be playing. I think you got to look at the division they play in. That North Division might be the best division across Canada this year. And so them getting knocked out in the North Final isn't necessarily, like you said, a bad thing, because it's just that tough. It was that much of a road, and they know now what the grind they're going to have to go to in order to win a national championship.
So it doesn't necessarily hurt them, but it might help them knowing what they have to do, even though they got beat in 5 games and 4 of those convincingly.
Yes, absolutely. I think they'll be fine.
I'll leave it at that, Travis. That's all it takes. It's like, they'll be fine. They'll be okay. Yeah. I'm here trying to say, well, I don't know, but of course.
Obviously, having time off isn't going to help them at all. Like, it's not the greatest scenario in terms of you'd rather be playing than sitting at home thinking about what could have happened. But in that time, you're going to think about it. And I've talked to a few of the players. They're going to think about that, and they're going to be ready. They're like, the first game could be against Spruce Grove if things work out. If Spruce wins the Western Canada Cup, what a great matchup that would be. The team eliminated you, now you're playing them again. They're not going to let them win again. So I've seen this league. Last year, Fort McMurray, they were out first round of the playoffs, they had 2 months off, and then they almost made it to the RBC Cup and beat the RBC Cup champions in Portage. They played well against Penticton. It's doable. That's the main thing. It's actually doable, and they'll get everyone healthy, and that's the main focus.
And it has happened in the TELUS West region. Saskatoon Contacts didn't even make the playoffs, and they won the West region. So they had rest, they had time to prepare, and obviously it helped them.
And with all those games, I guess a good scouting report on top of that too. So that will be a benefit. All right, moving on from a team that's going to be waiting for the championship game to 16 teams that are in the championships themselves in pro hockey. I'm talking about the Stanley Cup playoffs, which gets underway Wednesday, and it should be a good time. And if you look at some of these matchups, they're definitely interesting. However, the favorites going in, you'd have to maybe argue in the West, still a little bit tougher with a couple of teams, LA, Anaheim, Chicago is always going to be a favorite. And then, but on the East, it looks like Washington would be the outright number one. With that said, who are your playoff predictors in terms of who makes it to the final?
Whew, that's tough. I like LA. They got the goaltending. They're big. They're physical. They're built for playoffs. In the East, I like Pittsburgh. They're on a roll. They've been quiet the second half. I think they're one of the top teams in the second half. LA, Pittsburgh in the final.
I like Dallas from the West. I like what they're doing and like how they can score and just the team they've built around there too. Gotta go for my Penguins. I'll live and die by them until they're out.
Even with a semi-concussed, or at least a guy who's on the mend right now from a concussion like Marc-Andre Fleury, and you talk about great goaltending, LA.
Have you watched a Penguin game during the playoffs? Marc-Andre Fleury with a concussion, that's like normal playoff hockey for us. So
might be a good thing that he's not playing, maybe.
Well, you look at the backup Murray who's come in, and he did a fantastic job down the stretch for a team when they look possibly a little shaky when you lose a number one goaltender like the way Andre Fleury has played in particular. But no, looks like they've been okay. So you guys are going with those teams. Out of those teams that you mentioned, who wins it?
I like LA. They're mean, they're built, and like you win championships from goalie out and quick. I think he's one of the top goalies in the league.
I'll ride my Penguins to the end until they're out. I didn't wear the jersey this year. I should have, but I'll go Pittsburgh.
Okay. I'm going to say I think it's going to be Caps and Hawks, personally. And I think the Capitals are going to win it. I said that during our show just before the start of the year on our Christmas program. I'm still sticking with it because I don't want anybody to get angry at me, and that's how it's going to work at this time. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, we're going to talk about Pavel Datsyuk and how much of a loss will he be out of the NHL before the league. Coming up.